Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video I have the latest from the live radar. Run for the latest UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days as oppressive heat is arriving for all over the next couple of days. Already those temperatures are warming up in the south through Tuesday and will continue to warm up through Wednesday, but heatwave conditions will likely start to properly appear through Thursday and widely Friday and of course for the weekend. Now, temperatures at the moment could widely exceed 30 degrees. And as we have stated over the past few videos, we're not just talking about parts of England and Wales or the far southeast or just London. We are talking from the south coast of England all the way to the north coast of Scotland. We could see 30 plus degrees pretty much anywhere within that area. Now, at the moment, we're expecting the temperatures, at least from the latest UKV, to peak around 35, maybe even 36 degrees if we get the right conditions through Sunday and Monday, which is not going to exceed our all-time temperature record or July temperature record. Of course, that's 40 degrees, 40.3 back in 2022. But we still could see a record-breaking weekend, and that is because the latest UKV has temperatures in Scotland, perhaps Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, getting close to their all-time temperature record. So we could, in fact, actually see a record-breaking heat this weekend, and we'll explore that further when we have a look at the latest UKV. After that, we'll have a look at the latest longer-range runs, as we are going to see a bit of a cool-off through Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week. Timing's still a little bit iffy, but roughly around that period. But it is still going to remain above average, still pretty warm, still probably high 20s in parts of England and Wales, and we could see another spike of heat later on in July. Just hints at this stage, but it does continue to look like a real possibility. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. Now, if we start on the live radar, you can see a few showers around this evening, calling this around 7:30 on Tuesday night. Nothing too much, though, going on for most. And for the far south and east, already the high pressure moving in. Air mass is warming up. Temperatures today peaking around the mid-20s, around 25, 26 degrees. Not getting much warmer than that, but it has produces that hint of warmth within the air, that little bit of humidity I felt this evening, and that is just going to ramp up over the next few days. Now, to put on the temperatures this evening, you can see where that warmth is starting to build across parts of the south and the east, and across parts of southern Republic of Ireland as well. That warmth starting to build, but these oranges and eventually reds are going to become a lot more widespread over the next 72 hours. Now, do look at the latest UKV, if which you start on the precipitation. Again, we'll run through this quite quickly as there really isn't much going on. A few showers around through into Wednesday for parts of northern Scotland and some bits and bobs of cloud, but progressively through into Thursday and especially into Friday, we start to see a clearing. Blue skies for all of England and Wales there on Friday afternoon. Some blue skies for parts of the Republic of Ireland. Still cloud, though, for Northern Ireland and Scotland. However, into the weekend, look at this, blue skies for all, maybe a bit of high-level cloud for those western areas and maybe a few bits and bobs across England and Wales, but nothing too much. And the same could be said for Sunday. A few odd storms could break out, which could prohibit temperatures in a few spots, but again, wall-to-wall sunshine, and the temperatures are going to reciprocate. That's the big thing about this heat wave. It is going to be very hot. Temperatures are going to get towards those low to mid 30s. We've already seen 34 degrees so far this summer, a week or two ago. We are going to get back to those temperatures, maybe slightly higher, but it's the widespread nature of this heat that is so remarkable. You can see the upper air temperatures starting to climb to around the double digits at the moment. That's kind of mid to high 20s territory, but progressively Wednesday into Thursday, it's going to consolidate, become a bit more widespread, and the upper air temperatures are going to go into the low teens, and then as we head into the weekend, more mid to upper teens, peaking around 18, maybe 19 degrees at 850 HPA. So by no means the hottest air mass we've ever seen. The hottest air mass we've ever seen going back to the 40 degree in 2022 was around the 23 or 24 degree mark. It's difficult to say exactly what it was, but it was in around that rough amount. It's very difficult to get live observations up at 850 HPA, but that was the sort of forecasted high. So you can see here, we're at 4 or 5 degrees below that. So again, we're not threatening 40 degrees, but it's the fact that 18 degree isotherm is across the far south of England, the far west of Republic of Ireland, and the far north of Scotland, showing you we are all in this together with exceptional heat for all regions. Now, do look at the max temperatures as we head into Wednesday. Temperatures starting to climb, just knocking on the door on heatwave thresholds, but probably will stay below those thresholds through Wednesday, but 25 to 27 degrees. Into Thursday, though, we start to exceed those thresholds across England and Wales, up towards 28 to 31. So starting to feel really hot and oppressive there through Thursday afternoon. For northern and western areas, warming up, low 20s, it's definitely a possibility, but nothing too extreme yet. Into Friday, temperatures will climb further, more around the low 30s for most of England and Wales here, anywhere from kind of 30 to 33 degrees. Scotland, Northern Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, more towards the low to mid-20s widely, and a few spots, especially in Scotland, where we see a bit of the Föhn effect, could get up towards 28, 29. And then into Saturday, the really widespread heat arrives. Look at that, across England and Wales, widely 32, peaking 36, maybe isolated 37. So not in the realms of possibility to reach 40 degrees. We're 3 or 4 degrees away. That is not in the margin of uncertainty at all. But regardless, that is still very, very hot and would be knocking on the door on our sort of all-time temperature record prior to 2022, which is around 38, 39 degree mark. I can't quite remember, but we'd be knocking on the door to those sorts of levels. But you can see still ridiculously hot. But look what happens to Scotland, Northern Ireland and Republic of Ireland. Widely mid to high 20s, and some spots could touch 30 or 31 degrees. Not threatening all-time temperature records yet in these areas, but we've still got Sunday to come. And if we look at those Sunday temperatures, look at this. Widely 30 to 36 once again across England and Wales. Probably more likely to touch 37 or 38 in a few spots. Isolated spots, that is, just because of that heat building. But look at the Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland and Scotland. Widely high 20s and low 30s. Peaking in the Republic of Ireland around the 30 or 31 degree mark, again around the 30 or 31 degree mark for Northern Ireland, and look at Scotland peaking around the 34 degree mark around the central belt. And again, if you add in the Föhn effect with a bit of a southerly flow across the northern edge of the hills and mountains, wouldn't be surprised to see again 34 degrees towards the north coast, maybe slightly higher. Now, it is very hot, and that is not quite as hot as England or Wales, but we have to factor in what is the all-time temperature records. Now, for Northern Ireland, it's 31.3 degrees. So we're knocking on the door on this Sunday prediction. For the Republic of Ireland, it's 33.3 degrees, so a couple of degrees higher than what we're seeing here. So still in the realms of possibility, but we need to see about a 2-degree uplift here to see that become a possibility. For Scotland, the all-time temperature record is 34.8 degrees, and we've got 34 degrees here across parts of the central belt. So there would be a really strong possibility to exceed that 34.8 degrees from this UKV. And if we go to Wales, it's 37.1, which we've got 36s here towards the English-Welsh border. So again, that's not out of the realms of possibility either. So yes, for the UK all-time temperature record and the English all-time temperature record, we're not going to get close. 3 degrees off, at least, most likely. Max we're going to get to is kind of 36, 37, at least from this latest run. But for Wales, small chance, but possible. Republic of Ireland, small chance, but possible. But I think more likely, Northern Ireland and Scotland, at least from the latest charts. Again, things can change. This is still 4 or 5 days away, but it looks like it's got very strong support, as we'll see from the long-range charts in a moment. And yeah, it looks like we could threaten temperature records, just not traditionally across England and Wales. So not going to hit those UK all-time temperature records. But some other records, of course, across Scotland, Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland and Wales, we could get close to those. So it's going to be a real interesting watch over the next couple of days. Again, I can't emphasise not only the severity of the heat here, it's still 36 degrees, not threatening 40, but still exceptionally hot, but it's the widespread nature, something we've not seen in a long, long time, perhaps not even ever, if we do get those temperature records. Now, if you head over to the latest GFS now, you can see that high pressure is building in, that southerly flow arriving for the weekend, and you can see it is hot up and down the country. Again, we're just going to zoom in on the Sunday 2-metre temperatures just to see what it's showing here for parts of Scotland, just to give that comparative. And again, you can see here, maybe not getting towards the 34 degree mark, but more towards the 28, 29. But you can also see across England and Wales, only 31 or 32. So GFS definitely nowhere near as hot as the other runs, perhaps underdoing the heat slightly. Again, UKV is high resolution, so more likely to get it correct. But yeah, definitely not quite as hot up and down. So it is a cooler run from the GFS with the temperatures peaking around 33, 34, locally more widely 31, 32. So GFS a little bit down, but it does emphasize the widespread nature of that heat. If we progress into sort of the latter part of next week, you can see westerly flow returns, lower pressure bumps into that higher air, so the potential for some thunderstorms early next week. Beyond that though, we could see another southerly flow pushing in some hotter air, again just flirting with a far southeast there around the 18th, 19th. So again, some signs of heat returning, but nothing concrete at this stage. If we compare to the latest GM, again, broadly very similar, that high pressure building in, southerly flow into this weekend. Again, very hot air up and down the country, for eventually it does peter out into the middle of next week with some showers and storms moving in, for eventually warm air returns once again. If we do go back to the weekend again, just have a look at what those temperatures could be. You can see through Saturday, again, we're looking at widely high 20s, low 30s. You see a 31 degree here across the central part of Scotland, 30 degrees across the Republic of Ireland, maybe into Northern Ireland, 32 across England. So again, a couple of degrees lower than the UKV. Again, that could just be down to the resolution here. But it's the widespread nature which we're looking for. And again, you can see into Sunday, very hot once again, similar temperatures there, widely high 20s into the low 30s. So it's not definitive. We sort of threaten those all-time temperature records. But definitely, we'll have to wait and see exactly what happens with that. Definitely the possibility there. We'll just have to see sort of those details and see if the UKV is just a rogue run that we've seen this evening, or whether it is going to be consistent with those very high runs. And finally, if we check out the latest ECMWF, again, high pressure in control, looking hot and dry. Perhaps a bit of a breakdown next week, but very quickly, later on next week, we could return to heat once again with, yes, a small blip around Monday, Tuesday, but then the heat arrives once again through Friday with another southerly flow. So ECMWF playing out a little bit differently next week, but cool down for a time before the heat does return again with a vengeance around the 17th, 18th of July. Now, if you finish by looking at the latest ensembles, we'll go through this quite quickly, not too much has changed, but big escalating heat over the next few days, up towards 10 degrees above average there by early next week. So still a bit of discrepancy between the runs. Again, that's why some runs mid-30s, other runs low 30s. Drop off though into next week as expected, but generally still staying above average for the foreseeable future with some further big spikes in heat. So definitely opening the door to more heat wave conditions there into the latter part of the month. Again, the spike in heat arriving later on this week into the weekend, dropping off next week, but remaining very warm, especially in the south and the east. And finally, if we compare to the latest ECMWF, again, very hot this weekend, dropping off into next week, and then rising once again as we do progress into the latter part of the month. So heatwave coming later on this week, or in the next 48 hours actually for southern areas, but widely Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Again, we'll have to see what those top temperatures are, but they are going to be hot up and down the country. As we saw from the latest UKV, there is the risk of record-breaking temperatures if that run is correct. So thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.